that the aye votes is very clear. The appeal is lost. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I now move that we recognize Representative Laila de Lima of ML Party List for her individual amendments.
The Honorable Laila de Lima is recognized for an individual amendment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Sponsor.
Please proceed, Honorable Laila de Lima.
Thank you. I propose an amendment to the budget of the Office of the President, of the Vice President. I said, sorry po. So icebreaker muna. Again, I propose an amendment to the budget of the Office of the Vice President in the form of a reduction from 889.24 million to its 2025 level of 733.2 million, representing a reduction of 156 million or 17.5%. This is found in House Gab Volume 1A, page 2, line 19. Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, may I briefly explain my proposed amendment? Every peso in this budget is the people's money. And when we demand accountability, we do so not out of hostility, but out of duty. Duty to the Constitution, duty to the people, and duty to the truth. Let me then again put this on record. VP Sara Duterte's repeated refusal to face this chamber is an insult. It spits on the duty of accountability. While she clings to millions in public funds, she refuses to explain. This is arrogance. Para tayong mga magulang na tinatabig at sinisigawan ng anak na tumatangging magpaliwanag kung saan napunta ang baon. Kahangalan ang magsabi na aksidente lamang ito o resulta ng pagkakamali. Malinaw na pangmamaliit ito sa Kongreso at sa taong bayan. Sa madaling salita po, paulit-ulit na tayong binabastos ng Vice Presidente. Congress holds the purse, and when a child squanders the family's money without answers, the remedy is clear. Bawasan ang baon hanggang matuto. Let me be clear. This reduction is discipline, not demolition. Malayo ito sa ginawa ng kanyang ama na ginamit ang budget para pahirapan ang Commission on Human Rights, a constitutional body created to defend the powerless. What we do here is different. We call out entitlement. We confront arrogance. We demand respect. Public money is not a toy. Hindi ito pabuya na pinamimigay sa mga imbentong tao na may imbentong pangalan sa mga imbentong project. It is a trust. And until the Vice President learns respect, this House must act as the parent that disciplines a brat. Alam ko po that this move will generate varied reactions. It might even be exploited by certain camps to elicit sympathy for VP Sara. Diyan naman sila magaling kadramahan. Pero hindi pwedeng mangibabaw ang drama sa kung ano ang tama, sa kung ano ang makatwiran, at sa kung ano ang nararapat sa pagtatanggol sa dignidad ng institusyong ito at ng proseso ng pambansang budget. So, Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, I respectfully but firmly propose the reduction of the budget of the Office of the President, Vice President, from 889.24 million to its 2025 level of 733.2 2 million. I so move. Maraming salamat po.
Madam
What
Speaker,
does the sponsor say? What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, I move to suspend.
Session suspended.
Debate is that it is in the period of amendments, and we have already adopted the committee amendments last Wednesday, the 8th of October 2025. I now move to recognize the sponsor of the bill, Representative Michaela Angela B. Swansing, Chairperson of the Committee on Appropriations.
Representative Swansing, Chairperson of the Committee on Appropriations, is recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much to the Majority Leader. I am now open to deliberating on the amendments pertaining to the General Appropriations Bill.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, earlier we have distributed to the members copies of the substitute bill of House Bill number 4058. Madam Speaker, pursuant to Section 106 of our rules, I move to amend by substitution the entire bill as contained in Committee Report number 7 with the contents of the substitute bill earlier distributed to all the members. I so move, Madam Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Chair, this is not an objection. I just want to be clarified.
Majority Leader.
If the
Yes.
Majority Leader would
Madam
allow.
Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable
The hon-
Sidungab.
The
Again,
Honorable
this is an
Tidungab is
objection. I just want
recognized.
to be clarified because a substitute bill is actually a new bill. And if we look at our rules, consolidation and substitution are both considered the same. By way of substituting the new bill, are we not going to introduce a new bill? Because as per my experience at the committee level in the past, when there are about 2 or more bills related, they are consolidated into one and substituted. Well, in this case, if we substitute now during the period of amendment, will it not require a new procedure, a new process going back to debating?
Majority Leader, please
Yes.
respond.
Madam Speaker, to respond to the query of the gentleman from Davao, again, as previously mentioned under Section 106 of our rules covering amendments, it says on the top of page 68, a motion by the Majority Leader to amend by substitution of the entire bill or joint resolution shall precede consideration of individual amendments to the bill or joint resolution under consideration.
Yes, I do accept that. As again, I am not objecting, but I just want to be clarified with the procedure, considering that it is a new bill. So I remember there was one instance in the past, in the reproductive health bill, that during the period of amendments, a substitute bill was introduced and it was accepted by the author, the late Honorable Lagman. But the new bill was also subjected to a new kind of debate. I'm just saying this and for just purposes of accepting the explanation. I'm just pointing out that a new bill will require another procedure. So I just hope that it will be addressed, Mr. Speaker.
Your comments duly noted. Majority Leader.
Yes, Madam Speaker, just to continue with the query of Kong Ungab, there were 7 instances in which this rule was used, particularly with the Create More Bill, the Cooperative Code, Maharlika Bill, Bayanihan Tahilas 1, Reproductive Health, the BARMM law, and the Train law, all of which were replaced by substitute bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to, because if our purpose is to replace the small committee procedure, then the purpose is for transparency. So this should be more transparent.
Madam Speaker,
Majority Leader.
with regards to that query, may I move that we request the sponsor, Kong Swansing, for her clarification.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Swansing, you're recognized.
Madam Speaker, in terms of the procedure, so all the amendments that were incorporated into the second reading version of the General Appropriations Bill, which were circulated to the members earlier before the plenary session, were deliberated on by the Budget Amendments Review Subcommittee last October 8, 2025. So all of the whole deliberation was live streamed. Live streamed, and it lasted for around, I believe, 20 hours in total, including the first Budget Amendments Review Subcommittee. So in terms of transparency, we can vouch for that on the part of the Committee on Appropriations, as well as the Budget Amendments Review Subcommittee, that all of the amendments were deliberated on and are reflected in the second reading version, and there will be no other amendments that will be incorporated into the General Appropriations Bill after it is approved on second reading. So we can commit to our distinguished colleague, the Honorable Isidro Ungab, that all the amendments were deliberated on, that are accordingly reflected in the second reading version, and there will be no other amendments after the GAB is approved on second reading.
Thank you, Honorable Swansing. Majority Leader.
Yes, Madam Speaker, thank you. That being the case, I repeat my motion. I move to amend by substitution the entire bill as contained in Committee Report Number 7 with the contents of the substitute bill earlier distributed to all the members. I so move, Madam Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to proceed with the individual amendments, if any.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none, the motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable Sergio Dagook from the party list APEC for his individual amendments.
The Honorable Sergio Dagook from APEC Parties is recognized for his amendments.
Madam Speaker, apologies, I withdraw my motion and move to recognize Jose Manuel Chel Diokno from party list Akbayan for his individual amendment.
The Honorable Child Diokno is recognized for his individual amendment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am referring, Madam Speaker, to the unprogrammed appropriations, specifically Volume 1B, pages 659 to 662. We ask that the Honorable Sponsor consider the following amendment: that all pertinent line items under unprogrammed appropriations with a total amount of 243,222,549,000 pesos be revised to zero. If these items are truly part of the budget priorities, then they should be included in the programmed appropriations of the respective departments' budgets. I so move, Madam Speaker.
What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, to respond to the proposed individual amendment, so the committee has already included in the latest version of the General Appropriations Bill a revised special provision pertaining to the strengthening assistance for government infrastructure and social programs. In the latest version, in the second reading version of the GAB, wala na pong sagip. Infrastructure projects would no longer be part of the authorized uses for programmed appropriations, save for infrastructure projects under foreign assisted projects. So ngayon po, wala nang sagip. Meron na lang pong strengthening assistance for government social programs. So ang papayagan na lang po natin na sa loob ng yung dating sagip would be those relating to social programs. So those that are there now, out of the 80 billion that was originally included under SAGIP, ang laman na lang po ng strengthening assistance for social programs would be 45 billion in total. And all of those relate to programs under the Department of Agriculture for subsidies to farmers, rice subsidies, DSWD as an augmentation for the 4-piece program, given that there is an expected shortfall in the funding for 4-piece given the reduction from last year. So nakaabang po yun doon. So the 45 billion left under strengthening assistance for social programs all relate to social programs. Wala na pong infrastructure projects sa SAGIP. Now, in terms of the treatment for the infrastructure projects under foreign assisted projects, as much as we would like to put all of them as separate line items under programmed appropriations, the FAPS projects, the FAPS infrastructure projects that are currently on the unprogrammed appropriations are there because of this specific reason. These projects did not make it to the deadline during the budget preparation. For foreign assisted projects to be included as programmed appropriations, it would require two things. First, a finalized contract with a multilateral or bilateral partner providing the foreign assistance, and second, NEDA board approval. These projects that are currently under unprogrammed appropriations are those FAPS projects that did not comply or did not make it to the deadline for these requirements. And hindi po natin pwedeng hindi pondohan ito sapagkat mga commitments po natin to with our multilateral and bilateral partners. For example, the World Bank, ADB, COICA, and JICA. And given that we know for a fact that these projects will start in the year 2026, we need to fund them because otherwise we will be reneging on our international commitments. So for that reason, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker, as much as we would also like to recognize the point of our distinguished colleague, the Honorable Shell Jokno, to remove unprogrammed appropriations in toto, we are unable to do that because we need to put in funding for foreign assisted projects under unprogrammed appropriations. The other items po na kailangan talaga under unprogrammed appropriations would be budgetary support to GOCCs. We also need to provide for risk management. Otherwise, there would be commitment penalties. There's also one refund of service development fee for the right to develop Nampedai property in Tokyo, Japan. That is also an international commitment. Providing the prior year's LGU shares, that is provided for by law. And in terms of the revised AFP modernization program, also provided by law. Fiscal support arrears for comprehensive automotive resurgence strategy program, also provided for by law. Marawi siege victims compensation program, also provided for by law. And the comprehensive and adequate insurance protection of strategically important government assets and interests. Very important for us to keep that there because in case of these unforeseen circumstances, we need to be able to provide funding right away. And lastly, for payment of personal services requirements, these kailangan po talagang iabang yon. So I can, even though we are unable to accommodate the proposed amendment of the Honorable Jokno, we can assure that in the latest second reading version of the General Appropriations Bill, we have already put in place safeguards to prevent potential abuses of disbursements towards infrastructure projects from unprogrammed appropriations. And with that, Madam Speaker, the committee rejects the proposed amendment.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, we join the sponsor in rejecting the amendment.
There is a motion to reject the proposed amendment. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion
Madam
is
Speaker.
approved.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Proposed amendment is lost.
If I may, we object.
Yes,
First of all, I find that the reasons given by the Honorable Chair, whom I greatly respect, are very shallow and would be rewarding of negligence on the part of the other government agencies. At the same time, I believe we have a right to ask that this amendment, which has not been accepted, that I move that the body proceed to vote on the proposed individual amendment.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there is a motion to reject the proposed amendment, which is objected by the Honorable Jokno. I now move to divide the House. For the information of the body, an aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment and a nay vote defeats it. The majority solicits an aye vote.
There is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to by the Honorable Jokno. All those in favor to reject the proposed amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All those against the motion say nay. The ayes have it. The amendment is lost. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker,
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, we would like to be clear
Majority Leader.
as to the votes.
Madam
As to the
Speaker,
votes, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
I move to recognize the Honorable Ungab.
The Honorable Sid
Thank
Ungab
you,
is
Mr. Majority
recognized.
Leader. I just want to be clear as to who voted in favor and against. Can we count it by tellers? May I move, Madam Speaker?
Session suspended. Session resumed. The Honorable De Lima has an individual amendment. What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, the committee accepts the proposed amendment subject to the following. First, we want to protect the interests of the personnel within the office of the Vice President. So given that the current proposal of the Office of the Vice President reflects the salary increases of the said personnel in compliance with the salary standardization law, we will ensure that the personnel services will reflect that for the benefit of the employees of the Office of the Vice President. And second, we will also ensure that the final budget of the Office of the Vice President will be sufficient for the office to be able to perform its mandate. Sisiguraduhin po natin na hindi po maapektuhan ang pagganap ng Office of the Vice President sa tungkulin ng opisina sa kanilang budget para sa taong 2026.
Salamat po. Indeed, hindi naman talaga po maapektuhan. Kasi,
Majority Leader, what does the House say?
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Madam Speaker, I move to accept the proposed amendment.
There's a motion to approve the proposed amendment. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Okay.
Madam Speaker,
Majority Leader.
I move to recognize the Honorable Ungab.
The Honorable Sid
This
Ungab is
is
recognized.
Madam Speaker, thank you, Mr. Majority Leader. Thank you to the sponsoring chairman. This is an objection at the same time since the chair has ruled an appeal to the decision of the chair.
Majority
not
Leader.
To, not to decrease further the budget of the Office of the Vice President. Sobra na ang laki ng ibinaba ng budget ng opisina ng Office of the Vice President. Despite the drastic reductions for
Madam Speaker,
Majority Leader.
may we request that the Honorable Ungab stick to the motion to appeal the ruling of the sponsor rather than have an explanation?
Yes,
po?
Madam Speaker. The budget of the OVP has been deducted 2 times already in 2024 and 2025, and another reduction in 2026 with really, I would say, cripple the office. Only 2/3 of the original budget has been left. So I move to, I would like to appeal the decision of the chair, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being an appeal, Madam Speaker, there is an appeal to the ruling of the chair to reject the proposed amendment. I now move to divide the House. For the information of the body, an aye vote sustains the appeal and the nay vote defeats it. The majority kindly solicits a nay vote.
All those in favor to the appeal say aye. Aye. All those against say nay. Nay. The nays have it. The appeal is lost. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, moving on, I move that we recognize the Honorable Antonio Tino for his individual amendments.
The Honorable Antonio L. Tino from the ACT Teachers Party is recognized for his individual amendment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am one with the motion of the Honorable Jokno in moving for the total removal of the unprogrammed appropriations. However, since that motion has been lost, then I would like to propose some amendments to the special provisions in the unprogrammed appropriations. The first being to special provision number 1, availment of unprogrammed appropriations. I move that the language on release of funds be reverted to its original wording. Now, in the current wording, Madam Speaker, it says here, release of funds shall be subject to the submission of a special budget request and other relevant budgetary requirements in accordance with applicable laws. However, in earlier wordings of this provision, going back very many years, the wording is as follows. Release of funds shall be subject to the submission of a special budget pursuant to Section 35, Chapter 5, Book 6 of Executive Order Number 292, Series of 1987, and the following, and so on. That's the important amendment that I would like to propose. And now let me explain my proposed amendment. My proposal is to revert to the original language, which specifically refers to Section 35 of Book 6 of the Administrative Code. Because this is the specific law on availment of lump sum funds. And very clearly, unprogrammed appropriations fall under unprogrammed appropriations. And what is more important is that Section 35 specifically provides that any availment of lump sum funds requires the submission of a special budget, not a special budget request, which is what is mentioned in the provision, a special budget to be approved by the President. So, napakalinaw po sa batas na gumagabay sa mga lump sum funds, kailangan may approval ng Presidente. Why is that important? Because that serves as a safeguard against abuse of these lump sum funds. At ang nangyari po nga ngayon, with the flood control issue, yung unprogrammed appropriations ay inabuso. No? Napakalaki ng mga bagong proyekto na inaprubahan dito. So therefore, I move, Madam Speaker, that we revert to the language, and let me read again, that the special provision now read, release of funds shall be subject to the submission of a special budget pursuant to Section 35, Chapter 5, Book 6 of EO 292, Series of 1987.
What does the
That is my
sponsor
motion.
say?
Madam Speaker, with due respect to our honorable colleague, the honorable Tino, this is something that I've already addressed during the debates on the lump sum funds. So the current special provision, that special provision 1, as mentioned by the honorable Tino, is a correction of the special provisions that were there in previous General Appropriations Acts. The reason why the reference to Section 35 was removed was because there was some inaccuracy in terms of referencing Section 35 in the first place. Because there is also jurisprudence with regard to this, and I believe I have shared the same with our distinguished colleague during the deliberations. The jurisprudence clearly states that the prevailing document in relation to the availment of unprogrammed appropriations would be the special budget request. And for that reason, in the current special provision as contained in the second reading version of the General Appropriations Bill, we retained that correction. So we removed any reference to Section 35. And with that, Madam Speaker, the committee respectfully rejects the amendment proposed by our distinguished colleague.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, we join the sponsor in rejecting the said amendment.
Madam Speaker, I object.
Majority Leader?
Madam Speaker, there is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected by the Honorable Tino. I now move to divide the House. For the information of the body, an aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment and a nay vote defeats it. The majority solicits an aye vote.
There is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to be by the Honorable Tino. All those in favor to reject the proposed amendment, say aye. Aye. All those against the motion, say nay. The ayes have it. The amendment is lost. Majority Leader.
Mr. Chair, clarification. The ruling was that the ayes have it. The ayes
Yes.
Madam
support
Speaker, to clarify,
Majority Leader.
the ruling was that the ayes have it as a result because an aye vote sustained the motion to reject the amendment.
So I repeat the ruling. The ayes have it. The amendment is lost. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I now move to recognize the honor-
Madam Speaker, I still have another proposed
Yes.
amendment.
Proceed to your next
Sorry.
amendment, Honorable Tino.
Thank you. Still on the special provisions on unprogrammed appropriations, since the unprogrammed appropriations have been retained. This has to do with special provision number 9 of the unprogrammed appropriations, amounts under the unprogrammed appropriations. The DBM is hereby authorized to approve the following: use of appropriations within the authorized purposes, and B, use of appropriations under the purposes of the unprogrammed appropriations, except the budgetary support to GOCCs and the support to foreign assisted projects, to cover deficiencies in the amounts authorized in any of the purposes under the unprogrammed appropriations. Madam Speaker, this is a insidious and very dangerous provision. It empowers the DBM to take any amount in the unprogrammed, for any purpose in the unprogrammed appropriations, and enables the DBM to augment this amount with any other of the amounts authorized in unprogrammed appropriations. Ibig po sabihin, sa simpleng salita, binibigyan ng DBM ng kapangyarihan na i-realign ang halos buong amount ng unprogrammed appropriations para sa anumang purpose. no? So kaya po nagiging only na discretionary fund ang unprogrammed appropriations dito. Kung sinabi po ng Kongreso na it authorizes say 100 billion for a specific purpose, no? Let's say a pension and gratuity 100 billion, pero pwede pong dagdagan pa ng kahit magkano ng DBM for as long as it falls within the total amount of the unprogrammed appropriation. So dapat po tanggalin ito, pambihirang kapangyarihan at discretion ang binibigay dito at lalo pa at tinatanggal po nung ni-reject na proposal ko kanina, tinatanggal na po yung final check and balance na dapat presidente ang accountable sa unprogrammed appropriations. Dapat tanggalin na rin po ang kapangyarihang ito na binibigay sa DBM. Therefore, I propose that number 9 be deleted. The special provision number 9 be deleted.
What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, in response to the proposed amendment, so the specific example that was mentioned by the Honorable Tino with regard to PGF, just to clarify po, those are not under unprogrammed appropriations. PGF is a lump sum fund, but it is not an unprogrammed appropriations. The special provision number 9 specifically provides that the DBM is authorized to approve use of appropriations or movement or to cover existing deficiencies only within the unprogrammed appropriations. Right. And as lengthily explained by this representation earlier, we have already put in the necessary safeguards within the unprogrammed appropriations that would disallow potential abuses of unprogrammed appropriations for infrastructure projects. And with that, Madam Speaker, the committee respectfully rejects the amendment proposed by our distinguished colleague.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, we join the sponsor in rejecting the amendment.
There's a motion to reject the
Object.
proposed
I
amendment.
object, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which is objected to by the Honorable Tino. I now move to once again divide the House. For the information of the body, an aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment and a nay vote defeats it. The majority